before you stepped out your house to do whatever you did, you'd be in a different situation. But those things never happen. Parents are supposed to do it. School, loco parentis, supposed to do it. But if they don't do it, the man's them on the road with it. So they became your substitute parents. That's what's called differential association. And that's why it's easy to predict what it is. But you notice, you was reflecting, you was looking up in the air. I was making you think. And therefore, what's the saying? Think before you act. And what's cognitive behavioral therapy? Think before you act. So therefore, this is cultural therapy. But imagine if I was to publicly go on YouTube and talk about this, I'd get dismissed what you said. So you don't do it that way. You pass it on to the next generation who does it their way. So my point being is, that's what it's about. But to do that requires time. You've got to give that youth time to process, time to think. But the moment you finish with him, what's he going to do? He's going to go back on the block because he's got to get money, because it's an emotional investment in change. To go from I want money to I don't need money, the emotional shift is massive, because it makes you anxious and insecure, because you're seeing everybody else the latest trainers and you ain't got one. You're seeing everybody else taking a girl out, you can't take her out. Because we define our lives through external gratification, because we don't study Buddhism, we don't study spirituality, we don't study stigma. If you didn't feel the stigma of not having money, then you wouldn't have gone out and do certain things.
What's your thoughts on people saying these young people can't draw for their excuse of it's all I see and they need to have self-accountability?
First, I would say that anybody that does not do their homework and understands the social, historical, cultural, and political context of a young person's reality will say it because they can. But the judgment that goes with it leads to stigma. So the question is, who's saying that? Normally when people say those people, they actually say, I'm not like that, they are. That's social labeling. And we do it because we then absolve ourselves of part of the responsibility, because if you know better, you can do better. So if I'm pointing a finger at you, say, yo, you see the shoot here? Well, do something about it. So it's gas. But because if the person's got an MBA and they are advising government and blah, 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 because we look at status. If I come into your ends, why should I operate any different from how you've operated in the way that you look at young people? You were young. So judgment doesn't help. But if you're an old person and set in your ways, you're not thinking of the human being, you're just thinking of the youth's behavior. The behavior is symptomatic of a deeper issue. And we're all complicit with shaping the behavior of the youths. But when we decide to distance ourselves from that behavior, we blame someone else. We live in a blame culture.
Hey, Hisham.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, we're here, you know.
I'll send you the code, bro, so you can come up.
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't really know where it is. I'm outside the building, but I don't know where the front door is.
I'll come out.
All right, cool. Bye. The person we're interviewing today is actually interesting. This is someone called Hisham, and he's the only person that actually has a career job rather than the other subjects having a business.
So growing up, good, tough as well. So I was raised by my dad, me and my brother, younger brother. Grew up in Mozart Estate, kind of typical son of an immigrant upbringing, you know, dreaming of the Nikes. The first time I ever remember thinking this is what I want to be is when I was 14 in year 9, and I watched Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness. That movie was deep, man. Like even as a kid, that movie was deep, and I thought, yeah, like I want to be a broker, I want to go into finance, blah blah blah. When you're young, you don't really think of the consequences to the actions that you do. You're kind of just doing it. So like the first time that I started getting arrested, I was still in school. Like year 9 was the first time I got arrested. Year 10 got arrested again. Mostly for stealing, man. Obviously, being on free school meals parents not having too much money, you're seeing like your friends after school going to the shop, going to the chicken shop, all this. You don't have money to do that. You want to do that as a kid, you're thinking, oh, how come they can do that? I can't. Even though I was naughty, so to speak, I always was quite smart and did quite well on the academic side. So obviously the teachers are always trying to work out what's going on. Like, okay, this is a smart kid, but he's doing all this stupid stuff, you know, like getting into fights. Until I got to uni, that's when I really started doing all sorts of madness, because my father was so strict. So even though I was doing all this stuff at school, when I was coming home, I wasn't playing out with the man them from the ends and all of that stuff. It was mainly just my cousins. That's when it started turning into like selling drugs, fraud, all sorts of different type of stuff, man. And that was happening fast. But like I said, I was at uni, man, studying financial computing. So I was still, like I said, still trying to make it, and I still had my targets for like, right, I thought I was gonna graduate, I thought I was gonna go start working in finance. Even though you're doing all this stuff, I never thought that I was ever gonna get nicked or that I would ever go to jail. First, it was just like, okay, I'm gonna be at uni. I might as well just shop while I'm here, because it's easy way to make money. And then you start doing that, then you start dibbling and dabbling. Ultimately, bro, eventually, until we ended up doing a robbery, armed robbery of a store, and that's ultimately what ended up seeing me go to prison. But I remember even the day that the police came, flying squad, like nicked me, took me, I remember saying to my stepmom, don't worry, like I'll be back later. It was like when I actually got to the station and they was like, no, like sorry, like you're getting remanded. I couldn't believe it.
Did you get nicked at the scene as well?
No, we didn't get nicked at the scene. This was like 3 weeks later.
And even when you got arrested, you, in your mind, you were still like, yeah, you're coming home.
I'm coming home, bro. Cause that's what I mean, because you don't realize the seriousness and the gravity of like the situation of like what you've done. And while all this was happening, man, my father was ill with cancer, close to the end. And not only that, but I had 2 younger brothers as well. Stepmom, who's like English and stuff is not too good, so I was needed. Maybe there was a little bit of pressure from the fact that I knew my father was going to pass away, because it was like a terminal diagnosis with like, you've got X amount of time left. So maybe that contributed it to a bit or not, but I think it was more of that I was already into this thing now, where I was getting deeper and deeper and going from shot-in to fraud to now fucking robberies and things like that, holding stores up. Now all of a sudden it's a next level. Started buying the whole Gucci, Louis Vuitton thing. I went through that stage, bro, like not even going to lectures, no books, just decorating the place with flipping Gucci and Louis and designer shopping and all of that. And then it was like, no, now I need a Range Rover and be driving down to Morocco in a Range Rover, pulling a jet ski. And it just kept, the targets just kept going up and up. But then when I went to jail and that kind of stopped, it was like, put things into perspective. Like, listen, this is where you was trying to go, and this is the way that you was trying to go about it. That obviously hasn't worked. So you need to kind of try and figure out another way that you're gonna live your life. And I wasn't even taking things too serious when I first come out. I mean, I was only still 22. Through probation and this other company, got made aware of this gas engineering course. So I signed up to it. My Cody signed up to it at the same time. Eventually, a year later, was a qualified gas engineer, level 3 City and Guilds, gas safe, everything. Even like British Gas, I went through the whole recruitment process with them. Then 2 weeks before I was meant to start, got the call to say, hey, like, sorry, we've just got your CRB back. Probation recommended me to it, and then now I can't get a job because of my criminal record. It's not making sense. Like, why are you guys referring people on if you know that this is the case? So I kind of went through a period of frustration and thinking that like, oh, I wasted my time, I wasted peas. I knew that I needed to make money, bro, and I wasn't doing any of this. I dibbled and dabbled a little bit, like nothing major when I first come out, man. But just because when I did start dibbling and dabbling again, like after my license expired and stuff, I was basically shitting bricks, bro. I was actually genuinely scared of having to go back to prison, of having to go back, restart the clock again.
It kind of sounded like you had to humble yourself.
Bro, do you know what? I did, but in the beginning, it wasn't so deep because I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I was just trying to get a job so I can get off the whole job seekers thing. Because job seekers, bro, that's like charity handout, and then it's not even enough to even really do anything. I took a first job, man, cleaning. It was in a gym. Cleaning like the gym equipment, disinfecting it, cleaning the showers. After the cleaning job, I started working in the cinema, View Cinema. I remember one day I was cleaning up like nachos. People's flipping stinky nachos and salsa off the floor. I remember looking up to the sky, to God, and just being like, why me? Like, what is this? Like you said, that pride kicks in, that I'm supposed to be better than this. I was supposed to be a broker, or I was supposed to be a gas engineer, or do you know what I mean? Going from having all that money and all that shit to then now picking up somebody's nachos off the floor for flipping £7-8 an hour or whatever it was. I saw a guy from uni, one of the other students that used to buy Joe with me, and he saw me there, and he was with his girl, and he kind of like, in the beginning he didn't recognize me, then he recognized me, and I remember his exact words were, "What happened to you, man?" And I remember that kind of knocking me a little bit because, you know, you're trying to do what you're doing, but I guess it kind of brings those negative connotations that roadmen have. Really, man from the road, like, oh yeah, you're a supermarket stacker, or you're a cashier, or whatever, like you're a minimum wage doing shit work, you got a boss, blah 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 blah. And so while I'm trying to fight all those own things that are going on in my head, to then see somebody like that, and then that was kind of one of those situations. But then at the same time, there's a lot of other brethren that were supportive, man. I was enjoying the free tickets, free popcorn.
What was the next chapter? What was going on?
Bro, do you know what? Believe it or not, an opportunity came up, man, to work for a brokerage company. So I left the cinema job and started working at this place. That was more of like a sales role, whereas like the people that I was working with, they had no clue, really and truly, about stocks and stuff. They were just good on the phone. Where I was more concerned of like why these people should be investing, what's a good investment. So then I had to take the tough decision to kind of leave that. To be honest with you, bro, my life really changed is when I was decided to get married. I wasn't gonna go get married and then still be doing all this stuff or be in a position where I could go back. Because that's the thing, all the time when you're going through this journey, at any point I could decide, you know what, bro, fuck this. It's much harder to have to wake up in the morning, be at work at 7, for example, being out on the motorbike, hands freezing, shaking, rain pouring on you. My Cody, best friend, like I said, he would obviously go through the same process as me. So I called him, I said, yo, I need to get work. What can you do? Sent me a number for an agency. I called them. Literally, it was for like a job starting the next day. It was at Mayfair on the roof of one building, and it was like cleaning, like, you know how you have like the vents? Some acid, cleaning it with the acid. Clothes stinking to the point where like people on the train are looking at me. One day, African brother was working. He said to me, look, why are you doing labouring? Like, I'm getting the same money as you, but I'm just like kind of standing here. It was a traffic marshal job. So I was like, okay, I started looking into that. I was like, what do you have to do? There's a 3-day course. It's like a half-day course is £60. So I booked it for like a couple of weeks later. Went there, walked away later on that day with the traffic marshal certificate. A couple of weeks later, I got my first traffic marshal job. So now it was like, okay, I'm getting still the same money, but now I'm not having to struggle picking up, breaking my back all day, offloading pallets of cement. I saw people that were driving these machines on site. So I started speaking to the machine drivers, like, oh, like, what do you do? What do you need? How much do you get paid? Then it was like, oh, we get paid £15 an hour. And at the time I was getting like £9-10 an hour. So I was like, oh, what do you have to do, bro? So, oh, this is the name of the courses, how much it costs, this is how long it takes. Not even long. It was like £600 I think I paid for like a 4-day course. So to even get enough to book the course took like a few months of saving up. Then I started seeing my supervisor just on the phone all day. And I was like, oh, like, what qualifications have you got? Like, what do you need, like, to be a supervisor? So, oh yeah, you need this, you need that, you need the other. So then I started researching that. I got lucky. I managed to find like a job where they was letting me work as a supervisor, but without actually having the qualification. It was actually a site construction site in Edgware Road. Met some good people there. Like the managers were quite humble. They were showing me 1-2 things, and then in the meantime, like I was paying for my course, studying at home. Literally 3 months later, I had my construction manager certificate. I got my first manager's job. Don't matter if you was level 50 on road and you was used to making £1 a day or £5 a day or 10 grand a day. Now, bro, you're going to be making £10 a day, for example, or £100 a day. Like, you need to kind of try and forget about everything that you've been through in the past or what level you think you're at, and just humble yourself back down to zero and then build from there. And it wasn't until obviously I eventually did that thing started obviously working out. And thankfully for me, it was literally only a year and 3 months between being a labourer and getting my first management job. And even when I did finally make it to site manager, I was 25. 25, man. And literally everyone else is like 50, 60 years old, man. So like that experience alone was surreal.
So what would you say like keeps you motivated? You know, because it's been a while since you've left all that. So what's been keeping you going?
Bro, like everyone else, man, money is a big factor of it. There's nothing wrong with saying it, you know. Like in many businesses, they actually look for money motivated individuals because that's a character that will get people to work hard and to do things that they wouldn't normally do. It's just about going about how you get that money. Now, having gone through all of that and being where I am today, I'm quite proud of myself. I hope that I made my father proud, you know, managing to now be a respectable individual, having a wife, having my own home, having a child. Sometimes you have to go through things in life to find out who the real you is, not who you think you are, or who you sometimes get caught up in being. Having a mentor there and somebody positive to look up to help with you is a big thing, and probably things that most of the youths are missing, because everyone that they're seeing is men from the ends that are fucking making money the wrong way and stuff like that. So having somebody else on the flip side, then at least then they can make a choice, man. Because most of the youths that I speak to feel like they don't have no choice. The only way to make money is the road. The only way to live your life is on the road, because they don't know no different. And sometimes it just don't leave it until things have hit the fan and you really don't have no option and you're down at the lowest depths to then start to try and change your ways.
That was good, man. Do you know what I actually liked about him is the fact that he was so consistent with him actually like going on this journey within this construction industry. And to be honest, this guy done stuff that a lot of people coming from the roles wouldn't do, in terms of being a cleaner, working in the cinema, all these things. We know many people that come from that lifestyle have so much pride, you know, and this is someone that just sucked it in and done what he had to do. Yeah, that was amazing, man, I can't lie.
We're now in Northwest London to meet an entrepreneur. This guy is a trapper, but what makes him really interesting is rather than trapping drugs, this guy traps tropical fruits. Was it tough for you, like growing up financially?
Yeah, hell yeah. It was mad, like just my mum trying to raise, man. My mum was ill, innit? So really finances was really low, like really low. Like I remember growing up, people talking about the struggle and how they were broke and that, but they had new trainers like every after every school holiday. And to me, you weren't broke. You see in primary school, man had 2 TVs on top of each other, innit? One of them had picture and one of them had sound. So man will put both of them on the same channel. You get me? Is this making sense to you, what I'm saying?
Wait, so one is visually showing whatever's on TV?
Yeah, and it had no sound. and the other one had no picture, but it had sound.
Wow.
So man will put them both on the same channel, and that's how man. And for years that was normal. I didn't finish school, innit? I finished my last year. I finished at year 9. That was it for me. I didn't even do my GCSEs. I had a year done a mad thing still. She told me that I was kicked. She told me and my mum that I was kicked out. And she told the school that my mum moved, man. Does that make sense? After year 11 finished, and my original year was all going into college, then I was allowed to go into college, like everyone else was.
You get to a point where you go to college.
Yeah.
What was you trying to study?
Under construction, yeah, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't interested in that at all. I only, the first year of construction, I did it because my mum made me do it. The second year I did it because I was on probation, and probation made me do it. I was just dilly-dallying in whatever made money at the time. So if it made money, I was doing it. Obviously, man kept getting nicked and that. You get me? So obviously, and I was at the time, before I was 17, my mum having to come to the station, and that was painful because she, like I said, she was disabled and that, innit? She had skin problems. Like she was just hurting her to come. It was physically actually hurt. It was a pain for her to jump in the whip and keep coming and standing up for hours, and her back was hurting. You get me? Like, my mum passed away.
Sorry to hear.
And man had to move out. Man moved out from Neasden.
So we get to a point where you have this realization now, when mum passed away, of you thinking, you know what, it's time to switch it up. So what was going on there? Like what happened from there?
I got a job. That's the first thing I did. I got a job, but even that weren't cutting it. Like even the whole 9 to 5 thing, that's a long thing. That's not disrespecting anyone that is doing the 9 to 5 thing. If that's what you feel like you need to do, but to me that the retail thing, all of that is abuse. It's not work, innit? You're being abused.
But what about if another young person was to say, but it's not for me as well?
To find something that is for you. Do you get what I'm saying? There's something for everyone. Maybe the retail's not for you, but there's something legal that is for everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? Or you could just create it, man. Find something and make it. I know it's not easy, bro. I know it's harder. It's easier to say than to do it, but there's always something. There's always something. I moved out of the area I was living in to a better area. And my brother wanted to eat a fruit. You get me? This is now where we're starting the whole tropical trapping thing. So man just went, I used to just buy these fruits to eat them. You get me? Literally, it had nothing to do with selling them or nothing like that. I was just eating the fruits and posting them on my social medias. And there's some of these fruits I never even heard of. So I used to just buy them because they were nice. And I started trying them at the market, like where I was buying them from. I was trying them and buying them, bring them home. I sold out in like an hour the first day, like literally from putting it on my Snap. I sold out in like an hour and a half. It was good enough to do it again, innit? This is how I see it. Everyone says they're hustlers and that, yeah? And everyone wants to be famous. But when they find something, you get me, it had good money in it. Why would I leave it? Only a madman would leave it, you feel me? So I did it again and again, and then my peoples, yeah, like my friends, my close friends and that, yeah, that was buying the fruits off, man, was snapping it and tagging me. And I realized that, I had like over a week, my views and the people I had on Snapchat tripled or quadrupled.
So how was the feeling, man? Because now you're doing something that's legit, and it's working. So how was the feeling?
Oh, brother, it was amazing because I couldn't even explain it to you, fam. Obviously, man's always made breads like that. You feel me, like, but never have I had my family and like my sister and everyone feel so proud of man. You get me? Like, no, it's just fruits, but bro, they're really proud of man, fam. You get me? They're like, man's really pushed this thing, and they're really happy. And I feel like that's another reason why makes me not want to stop it. You get me? Man was in South London, like 8 boxers just pulling up on you. It's like, yo, what? You lot eat fruits, yeah? Yeah, I swear to you, some people, like, you know how it gets. You're pulling up on blocks of youths that don't know you and that, bro. You get me? Man, jumping out on the youth, them like, yo, you get bare screws or what? Well, you lot eat fruits, yeah? Well, as soon as they come to the car, at least 3 man's buying something, you get me? Man's gonna bust a joke with you.
How long has it been now that you've been on this journey?
Since May still, so nearly a year. Like 10 months now.
So in nearly a year, you've been able to make the family proud, provide yourself, bring in an income.
With the help of the people them and the help of the Lord, man could push it to something amazing. Man could push it to something very big. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this definitely sounds like your plans are to sort of really dominate this fruit industry and take it to the next level.
Do you get me? I just need to figure out how. I don't know nothing about business and these things, but I'm learning. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Man just has to keep a positive energy with everyone. You get me? It's just love and manners to everyone. You get me? Everywhere I go, it's love and manners. You get me? So that's why I called it. That's where I got the name from as well, Tropical Trapping. Because I just saw it as, yo, man's really trapping, but it's fruits. Man's buying the fruits in bulk, breaking them down into little pieces, into little boxes, and going out there and slinging them, you feel me? It's really trapping. It's just legal, and it's fruits. I don't know about now, but when I was 13, 14, we would know how much profit I can make from a Z of weed, but didn't know how much profit I can make from the fruit and vegetable market. Do you get me? If I did know from a young age, I'd have been doing this from a young age. There would have been no excuse. Man was out here chasing money. The only people that wouldn't have chose this over the trapping thing is a clown. Someone who's actually just out here trying to make a name because he wants to be part of a gang, or you get what I'm saying? Just for the, you get me? The man who's trying to force it and that.
Yeah.
But man that was actually broken, that man just wanted to make bread. That was it. So if man knew about this from childhood, I'd have chose this from childhood. The day starts from midnight, let's say. Man's restocking from midnight. I go home with all my fruits and I go sleep. I wake up, I put all the fruit boxes together, and then I post it on my story that I'm active. And then that's it. From there, I hit out all the pre-orders. Everyone who pre-ordered the night before, I send them all out.
Do you get orders that come in before the stock is even arrived?
Yeah.
There's many youths out here right now, they don't know what they're on, and they're trying to think of a way out. Financially, probably through like the violence or whatever that may be going on around them. What advice have you got for them?
Just give it your all, innit? Whatever it is that you're gonna go into, give it the same energy you was giving the other things you was doing, you get me? The same energy you was giving the man them and that. Same energy you was giving all these people who weren't paying your bills and they weren't helping you and that. Give yourself that energy, you get me? A lot of men will do the most for someone else and the least for themselves.
Tropical Trapping was different. And what I liked about him is that he's actually in the business of fruits, and it's not every day you hear people, especially coming from the past like myself, who actually get involved in that business. Another thing that I have to commend him for is that it didn't take him to go into prison to be aware of the opportunities that are around him. Though we couldn't reveal his face, this again reminded me of the many people who have left that path. They're in positions, careers where revealing their identity will actually jeopardize the beautiful work that they're now doing. Definitely was something different what he's doing, and I hope his journey continues. Our last stop is in Bromley to see Shanice, a young person who left the criminal lifestyle to become a businesswoman. So, you actually grew up in the South End, didn't you?
Yeah, I grew up in South End, yeah.
And like, was that with family? Like, have you always been sort of raised there? Like,
yeah, so I grew up like it was like just outside of South End, so it was like an area called like Eastwood. So it was just like a completely quiet area. There was like no trouble. I got adopted when I was about 2 from like my auntie and my uncle, because my mum passed away, so my adopted mum adopted me. Growing up like with them, obviously they was a white family, so obviously I'm like mixed race. In that time like, of growing up, I just felt like, I don't know if it was more like the race, I don't know if it was just maybe they felt like they regretted doing it or whatever, but I just felt like excluded.
With that being said, did that have an impact on your education?
When I was in school, I feel like friends wise and like my group wise and everything like that, I just feel like I just couldn't really like fit in with them, like, and it started making me feel like when I was at school I wanted to be at home, and then when I was at home I wanted to be at school.
So after school, what sort of happened from there then?
After school, I got my apprenticeship in a hairdressers in like when I was like maybe like just before I left school. Doing the hair itself, like it was just like it wasn't for me, but I wanted to make sure that I got my qualification just so I had that behind me, because it was just like, well, what am I going to do if not? When I moved into the hostels, it was just like, it was like 2 buses, like, and it was just a little bit long like for me to get to. I just ended up leaving and just telling myself that that's not where I want to be, that's not what I want to do.
So from that hostel, is that where the sort of journey began of you being in the wrong crowd?
Yeah, I feel like obviously being in hostels, like you're in a whole different environment, and the area that I was in, like it was just like you could just look out your window and it was just there. So it was I don't know, it was hard not to get involved. Doing what I was doing, what I was around or whatever, I feel like I changed my mindset and felt like I weren't doing anything bad, or like these people ain't bad, like I felt like they was like my family, do you know what I mean? Like I felt like they protected me, like they looked out for me, do you know what I mean? And they was just like, I don't know, I never really felt that sort of love before. Like I felt like I felt a part of something. The decisions that I made, like I feel like it was just from certain situations of me just trying to have to like make it, and like how am I going to do it, like nowhere's taking me on, like what am I going to do? I was like 16, 17, 18, like with no one, like apart from the people that I choose to have around me. So it was just like I would never ask for help either, so I'm not going to ask them. And from being around that, I just thought I might as well just do my own thing. Like, and then I just started doing my own thing, and obviously I was around a girl, like she was sort of on the same thing that I was on, and then we just done our thing together.
So you and your friend, you're both trapping, you're doing your thing. So what happened? Like, why the stop? Like,
I feel like obviously like you know, like we used to do it every day, like all day, like, and it was to the point where it was just like it was normal to us, like that was our life. But then I feel like I moved area, so it made it a little bit harder, like for me coming from like the area that I moved to, Chelmsford to Southend, like it was just a little bit longer for me, like, and I just thought like I just started to, I wouldn't say like grow to the extent as my new journey that I've been going through, but like I just started to think, do you know what, like I just sort of had to leave that where it was at. And then it was like when I met my ex-boyfriend, I just started to, I wouldn't say that was when I completely like turned my life around, but it was sort of like then when I started to like grow up and realise that ain't the way anymore. I always had my place like in Essex. I always kept like my own place, but obviously I started staying like with him and his family and everything like that, so I was just sort of living like a family life. We was going through our own stuff, but like we sort of like had each other, and I just feel like obviously eventually like we got on the case together, and that was in the end of 2018.
so you mentioned you both had a case together. What actually happened? What was the arrest for?
So obviously it was a murder charge. Obviously I got arrested originally for assisting offender with murder. Then that charge eventually got dropped, and then I got rearrested for assisting an offender with murder. Then we had our pleas, and our plea was actually at that court over there. Yeah, so that's the court that I done my plea at, and and that was in January 2019.
Is that for the perverting the courts of justice?
Yeah, so that was for my plea for perverting the course of justice. Then it got moved for trial at the Old Bailey. When I went there, it was just like, do you know what, like, this is God's plan. Like, obviously I'm meant to be here for a reason. Like, and at the time I didn't know, like, why I've got to go here. I'm thinking I've been praying, like, I've built my business, like, now I've got to leave my business. I'm not even going to come out and it's going to be able to do what I want it to do. When I was in jail, like, I just had this notepad, and I literally, everything that I'd done when I came out, so 2020, like, everything that I'd done, I planned, like, in my little notepad, and all I was doing last year was, like, executing it.
Once you got out, what was the sort of struggles you started to go through?
Well,
how was you tested on this?
Yeah, like, I was tested, like, I've been tested the whole time. One of them was obviously, like, my bulimia. I feel like that was hard for me, like, because for me to even speak about it, like, it is, like, for me, like, it is hard for me to swallow that pill that obviously, like, I used to, like, make myself sick to obviously feel better, and, like, to an extent it's like that sort of, like, embarrassment. However, like, I feel like I was struggling with that every single day from, like, 2018 till I went to jail, and it was only jail that I overcome it. So even though that the whole situation of going to jail was, like, a sense as, like, a setback, at the same time I overcome bulimia in there, and I feel like when I was on road and I was trying to overcome it, I just couldn't. Even when things that would be good or I'd be happy, things would be going well, like, I still couldn't, because it was like a habit, like, I couldn't break. But at the same time, like, I just knew that, you know, I wanted to get better. I knew I was going to overcome it, and I was struggling at the time. And at the time, that's just how, like, I dealt with it.
So financially, how did you, like, build yourself to get to where you're at now?
I came out in 2019 December, and then I was just executing all my plans. So I, like, putting all my designs that I designed in prison to my suppliers on getting my own products. So then I've invested, like, my savings into my products, and then it was lockdown, and then it was just like, what am I going to do? Because, like, I can't even lash now. So I started, like, my degree to be a teacher, and obviously I'm a little bit slow with learning anyway, so it took me from March till September to get my degree. I think it was June or July that obviously I then released my products, released my website, but I created such a, like, hype and buzz about it that it wasn't as I thought when I released it. And I feel like that's with everything. You think, oh my god, everyone's so excited, everyone's waiting, they're going to be queuing to get on my website, but then, like, I'm messaging my website like, well, what's happening? Like, my website's not working, and they're like, you've not got no orders, and I'm like, what? I just started thinking, do you know what, like, let me just be patient. I just started, like, to take a step back from actually just working, and I started working smarter, not harder. And then I released a book, like an ebook, so it's like an online book, and that was in January the 31st, and that was, like, the best thing I ever done. I'd done that, which obviously helped me, like, be able to get a shop, get everything I needed in the shop. And then March came, and I was planning a diary that I was bringing out, because a lot of people that bought the ebook, it was so helpful for them, but they wanted something a little bit more interactive.
This is literally about 10 minutes away from the court.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I feel like it's so overwhelming. Like, I feel so happy. Like, I keep saying to everyone, like, I've never ever felt this happiness in my whole life. Like, I just feel so content, like, with everything, and this is just like a dream to me. Like, and I feel like I'm only just starting. I feel like this is my beginning to something so much greater, and I'm very content and very happy for the journey and how far I've already come.
I'm definitely excited to see what else you can achieve, because for me, you've basically done it all. You know, you're already teaching these courses, you've got your shop now, you're doing ebooks, you've done 2. So what? So there's still more on the list to conquer.
Oh yeah. I just want to just succeed to be international and global. Like, I really want my brand to be in Tesco's and, like, big stores. Like, I want it to be in every county. Like, I just want it to be everywhere. Like, I want my brand to literally be a sensation. I just think to myself that I can't put too much pressure on myself. Like, I don't live a typical normal 22-year-old life. I don't, like, I'm like a workaholic. I don't stop. Everything's work, work, work. If you ever speak to me, if you ever have a conversation with me, whether I'm lashing you, you're my student, or like I'm just speaking to someone on my Instagram or wherever it may be, it's always going to be like my business will come into it somehow. So I just feel like going through all of this, I feel like it's important that you reflect and you look back and you see how far that you've come, because you, especially in the world that we live in, the generation we live in, like it's hard to feel like you're not doing enough, or like you look at someone else and you then start doubting, thinking maybe I should be doing that, or maybe I should be on that level. But one thing that you have to remember is like your journey is different to everyone's. Like no journey is the same.
For those young people that may feel, especially the young girls that may feel, you know, I don't have the strength that she had. I don't think that I can sort of leave this or sort of achieve what she has. What do you have to say, man?
I feel like it's all about adjusting your mindset. It's all in your mind. Like you have to believe that you are capable of doing the impossible to possible. Like you have to really believe in yourself. Like I've had a lot of people in my journey that don't believe in me, or don't believe in my crazy ideas, or they don't believe that I'm going to amount to anything, even half of what I've even achieved. You just have to find something that you have a passion for and just never give up. And that's why me personally, luckily, like I found lashes, it was my passion, and I'm now able to do lashes, sell lashes, teach lashes, bring books out like about business and everything like that. Like you can strive off so many different paths just from that one passion. It may take a month, it may take a day, it may take a year, like whatever it takes. Like you have to find your passion, and once you found it, you just have to stick to it. Like one thing, stick to it and just go hard.
We've just finished interviewing Shanice. This is someone that has an incredible story and has now got to the point where she's doing so much beautiful things and actually has her own shop which she's just launched. This is someone that I feel is a true inspiration to women, but also to men. And I think the only way is up for her.
Yes, Nathan. How are you, man? What's going on? I'm just sending you 2 links to my documentary because I know the last time you spoke about how you feel that there's not much things you could probably achieve in life, that sort of your options being limited. So I thought I'd just send this as inspiration, but let me know of your thoughts, because if you feel it's good enough, then I'll release it. If you think it's going to help people like yourself.
I'm a bit busy right now, innit? So I'll have to watch it when I get home. So give me like a few hours and then I'll watch it. My brother. Bilal, that was amazing. I'll be real. I loved it. I loved how you showed the transition from guys that were on the roads, were ex-gang members, and how they turned their life around. I'll be real. I hope this really changes people's minds and perspectives of how the Black Keats are portrayed. I'll be real. Like, that was amazing.
The impact that it had on me was that there's more to life than just a black boy being a footballer or a rapper. Like, you can be a politician, you can start your own business, like you can do so many other things. And a lot of people in South London especially, and a lot of black boys, they don't think that they have that many opportunities. I feel like this documentary is very, very impactful. And if there was more of this type of documentaries for the younger youth, like for them to watch and understand that there's more to life than just being a gang member, or, you know, there's more to life, you can actually do something with your life, I feel like that would have a massive impact on the younger generation.